Smash or pass? That is the question a lot of FPL managers are asking of their wildcard button this week. So the question for you is, would you hit it? Welcome to the FPL Addicts podcast. Yes, welcome to the FPL Addicts podcast. Lots of wildcard chaos this week. Gameweek 6 feels like it's a more important week than ever in terms of FPL so far this season. I am joined today by two esteemed guests. So to join the FPL Rev, I've got the FPL Amateurs of Oz host Quentin, and also a regular old favourite on the FPL Addicts podcast, the man, the myth, the mullet, Chaza Roberts. Welcome, gentlemen. First of all, Quentin, how are you today, sir? How are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm good, mate. Just on holidays, mate. So enjoying a little bit of downtime, but also pretty much just watching football on holidays. It's my downtime.
Yeah, it's great. More time to plow into that detailed analysis there. So hope you're having a really good time on holiday. And Chaza has always been one to be pushing boundaries, but now he's winning awards for it as Boundary Umpire of the Year. So congratulations, Chaza.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, so do you want to tell us a little bit about that award there, mate?
Well, it took about nearly a decade to work towards it. Well, I had the main grand final in my own local football league for the second time in 3 seasons. So I was very honoured to share such a momentous occasion with a great panel, but also taking out this award sometimes for when the journey starts. This is what it makes it all worthwhile. And this was the case this time around. I would not have envisaged it when I started the journey all the way back in 2015, but sometimes you surpass your own expectations. So I thought it'd be worth celebrating, and this is where I am on the pod. Sometimes I fall asleep, sometimes I bring home some silverware.
Well, congratulations, Chaza, and hopefully the Boundary Umpire of the Year won't be the only silverware that you're achieving this year, for sure. And as you seek to claw your way up the FPL ranks. Especially hello to people who are joining us in the chat. As always, what a legend. It's Colm, without fail. Colm, thank you so much for joining us all the time, mate. We do appreciate your presence, and we do appreciate a little bit less Mooney's propaganda, but that's what Quentin is for anyway.
Geez, why is this guy on this week? And can I just say a smashing introduction, by the way, with a smash or pass. So you said, I've got a good intro, and it wasn't me this time around, so that was not too bad. I didn't mind.
Yeah, I mean, jokes are always less funny when you explain them, though, Chaza, so thanks for that. Anyway, let's get into it. We're going to go straight into FPL so far this season by checking out how our mini leagues have been playing out. So here we've got one of our FPL Addicts podcast leagues. Congratulations yet again, Seamus Gray smashing it at the top with 411 points so far. This is ridiculous. Let's have a look at his team as well. It's looking amazing. You know, how does man have Salah, Palmer, and Haaland and still have such a great team? So he's smashing it. So congrats to Seamus there at the top of his league. And then at the top of the league over here, a familiar name in Mira. She has been absolutely smashing it in our podcast league. She sits at the top by a full 11 points, so she's doing fantastically. Another great game week for her. Easy for me to say, which is absolutely smashing it again. A little few problems maybe up top so far, and also Yao Pedro being benched as well, which has allowed for some benching shenanigans to take place. But you know, if you don't call it like she did on the pod, then you don't get to do that. We'll move on to our FPL Addicts podcast panel league. And also, Quentin, if you could get ready to share your team in a moment as well, so that we can see how you have done this week, that would be great. In last place, but certainly not least, we've got Gillas Killers. Yeah. Jack Gillas with his auto pick team here. I'm sorry, but am I sorry? He's having a mare. He's having a mare. But you know what? Jack always starts the season badly, and then claws it back. Quentin, what are your thoughts on this team, mate? What are your thoughts on this team? This is and Chaza as well. Let's have a look at Jack's team here. Let's just take a moment to roast it.
Where would you like me to start?
Wherever you please.
Just having Anderson, mate. I don't know. You probably don't want to buy into Fulham defense at the best of times, and if you are, you're going sort of Robertson, but Anderson. It's a strange pick, but some people have different kinks in life. Some people like seafood, some people don't. Some people like Anderson, some people don't.
Safe, man.
Yeah, and we don't kink shame here. Actually, we don't kink shame here. Anyway, so that is Jack's team. Moving on, in 5th place. Second from bottom, Chaza. It's been a rough start, and first of all, the glaring thing to point out: Morgan Gibbs-White with the red card. Moment of madness.
Oh, look! All I'll say is that how many polar bears do I have in my side that have come from Texas and America? It's just you don't know how they got there, but they're in there. And look, I'm sorry to be a spoiler alert, but I've already activated the wild card. Like I've just had it with this team. I blame Quentin for his silly old propaganda from last season on Rodrigo Muniz. And there's just too many flags that have been donated to the Red Cross, like João Pedro, Gibbs-White, Barco. I've just had it, man. Morgan Rogers coming off the bench because Jota didn't play a minute. That was my shining light.
Yeah, I mean, that really was like...
But Henderson got some points, and I was quite pleased to see that.
Yeah, it was great. So clearly quite a few issues in this 11, but hopefully going to remedy them later with the wildcard button. Moving on to myself, sat in the middle here in 3rd position in our mini league. 72 points for a pretty good game.
Is that how long you'd hope to be top of a mini league?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen, is it? But, a little problem here. In Wisa, I just decided to bench him and roll the transfer to see what might be available in terms of information, and also a good fixture swing for Arsenal coming up this week, so didn't really want to move into them immediately when they were about to play Man City. So yeah, that's my team. Nketiah as a punt hasn't really worked out, but maybe we'll get to see a little bit more from him in terms of when he plays against Everton. And we all know they've been wonderful defensively so far this season. So, yeah, go on then, Quentin. Roast my teammates. How do you feel about this?
Mate, that's a solid week. I think anything over 60 this week was actually pretty decent. So I think 72 points is actually a pretty solid week. And, looking at your team, I actually think it's not too bad, mate. I think, holding firm with the Palace players where, you've gone the attacking assets, which I think is the right way to go. I think defensively in Henderson, I don't really like.
Even though we got a good game week this season.
I think at the back there.
Yeah. But first time this game week,
quite surprised that
it's not sustainable. Yeah, go on.
I was actually surprised United didn't concede any goals against Palace, so I think you're a little bit unlucky.
Yeah, I think everyone was quite surprised considering how awful Palace have been, defensively. But they've always managed to pull something out the bag in terms of an attacking sense. But all it took was for me to wildcard into double Palace attack to curse that. Quentin, have you got your team ready to show us, mate?
Yeah, it'd be great if he can hear one.
Sorry, I've just sent it to Chaz. You're able to help us out, Chaza.
Oh. Wait, which chat? Sorry. Oh, Twitter. Apologise. Sorry. Give me a moment.
Twitter.
Yeah, all good. While I get that up.
Well, yeah, while we get that up, while we get Quentin's up, we'll have a look at Reedy's team. Reedy, again, continues to fascinate, really. As an experiment, Reedy has gone with no Salah and no Haaland, and is above both myself and Chaza in the league. And again, a really solid game week at 70 points. Palmer doing the business. Saka, again, another return. Luis Diaz continues to smash it. Ollie Watkins, another return. And this team only gets better this week as well. So, yeah, really weird. Really, really weird as a just like a thought experiment to be going without Salah, to be going without Haaland, and to still be above most people, I guess, in the mini league. So well done, Reedy. You are smashing it. And then also Elliot again with 86 points, who's gone the no Salah route and is getting quite nicely covered by Luis Diaz. Chaza.
Yeah, that's great. No one cares. Let's go straight into Quentin's team. Like at 62.
Yes. Lovely. 62. Even Palmer doesn't want to put a shirt on in this team.
Well, I thought he died over weekend. That's why he doesn't have a shirt for some reason.
Yeah. Ooh. Is your bench any good?
Doesn't deserve a shirt, to be fair. Yeah, no. No, my bench isn't too bad, but I benched... actually, hold on. I've got it here. I ended up benching... I had Jota, Semenyo, and Harwood Bellis on the bench.
Mm-hmm. Oof.
So
rough.
It wasn't the week that I was hoping for. McNeil, I think, put one on a platter for Calvert-Lewin, who missed. He had another really good chance as well, so it was a little bit disappointing not to get anything from him. And then, obviously, Jota had big hopes for him, didn't play at all, so I got Pedro's 1 point off the bench, which was a bit how you go on, but I was pretty happy with Rodgers. I thought Rodgers had a pretty decent day out. Watkins, not the greatest, but I think he had another 2 really good chances in that game. So I feel like if he had converted one of those, it actually probably would have turned my week into a little bit better. But I think, as I said, anything over 60 points, I think was all right this week. So I'm sort of just hanging in there. I think I had maybe like 100k red arrow or something like that. So it wasn't horrible, but hopefully this week things are going to be better.
Yeah, hope so. And there are a few fires to put out in that team. And, I feel like FPL so often is a game of hindsight. And, I hate to be the guy that says I told you so, but I warned you about McNeil. I did. I warned you all. Not maybe you specifically, Quentin, but we were talking about him last week. And people were saying, I'm going to bring him in. And I was like, why? Why though? So as an Everton fan,
the Pedro news is pretty much what the Pedro news kind of threw me towards making a move to bring McNeil in, just because I would have had to start Semenyo, and then obviously lucky I did bring McNeil in because it could have been a lot worse, but. I like McNeil as a pick over the next probably 6 weeks, but I think he's going to be similar to what you said. It's not going to be consistent with the points, but there's going to be 1 week where he might score 10 and next week he'll score 2. So I think it's going to be a bit of a ride, but see how we go.
Of course. Yeah, good. Well, hopefully the plan is starting to take shape to rescue this team and hopefully have a better game week this week. I'm going to say hello to a couple more people in the chat before we discuss some of the fixtures for the upcoming game week. So hello to Mez, FPL Mira. Welcome. Really good to see you, and congrats on smashing it. Again, top of the FPL Addicts mini league as well. And she also offers a little congratulations to Chaza, who is the boundary umpire of the year. Oh, yeah.
And I usually have an Ange Postecoglou book in my hand, but I'm at the wrong house this evening, so sorry about that, Mira.
Oh, no, well, fair enough. And then also, of course, a very faithful member of our FPL Addicts community. It's the beloved Miriam. Really good to see you in the chat today. So let's have a look forward to some of these fixtures, and I'm going to come to you first of all, Chaza. In terms of an FPL perspective, What one or two of these fixtures that have caught your eye?
I'll go with one because I know if we go through all the fixtures, it will be like Rev going through Sam Johnson's fixture list from last season and going all the way up to Gameweek 8. So I'll pick one.
He had a really good fixture run, okay? It's not my fault the list was long.
Okay, so two sides are sort of catching my eye at the moment, especially with how well they've performed in the last fortnight. I'm going to go Man United Tottenham because I think Tottenham's attack is a very intriguing point as seen stand. They were very good against Brentford at home last week. In addition, could we see the resurgence of Dominic Solanke at his new club? To complement that, I think United's defence has been solid this season with 3 shutouts in our opening 5 games. Plus, I think their attack, especially in Xerxes, could have some chances because we know how frail Postecoglou can be in defending. And I don't know my book, but that's good because that's been managed for the night. But I think that could be quite an open game.
Yeah, it could be, and I think the reason you mention Man United and their frailties, it's very convenient that Quentin's had to disappear all of a sudden because maybe he doesn't want to talk about the fragile nature of his beloved Man United. But they were not looking so great this week. I think Bruno looked so off it this week. Bruno looked really, really poor. He looked not like himself at all. And he strikes me as a player who really is at the moment trying too hard. And I feel like that's a result of a lot of the pressure that is on him at the moment. Because if he doesn't create anything, if he doesn't score a goal, who is in that team at the moment? And so maybe he's not really thriving under that pressure at the moment. But Quentin, how do you feel about Man United at the moment, mate?
Actually, I'm low-key pretty keen on Man United. I thought that, I know it was Barnsley in the League Cup, but we saw what we've wanted to see from Rashford last season. So I think last time I was on the pod, I was saying he's looking a lot more confident, and I feel like he looked really good in that fixture. I think Garnacho starting, he's looked really good. So I think the goals are going to come from everyone but Bruno. I think Bruno is just going to be the assister possibly compared to previous seasons.
Yeah, I think Man United really are struggling in terms of because we know that Bruno is a creative force, but what he's lacked, I feel like his whole time that he's been at Man United is a proper number 9 to sit behind. And that's not really been the case. But maybe, as you say, Quentin Xerxes is a player for us to keep an eye on for our FPL teams moving forward, and he could become a real option for us as well. Quentin, is there a fixture here that really catches your eye as an FPL manager?
I was actually looking at, I think it was, I'm just trying to think now. I think it was the Everton Palace fixture. I think that's actually quite an important fixture, one for FPL, but also for the Premier League. I feel like it's almost like a 6-point game for Everton. So I think that's sort of one game that I'm actually quite interested in because it's almost battle of the horrible defenses. So we've seen Everton, multiple weeks given up 2-goal leads.
Yeah.
Palace have just been
I'm still hurt
season at the back. So I think there's a good chance that we're going to see goals. And I think I picked in our podcast, I think a 2-2 draw in that fixture. I think there's going to be lots of goals. And I think for FPL, it's going to be a really good game to watch.
And I think something to keep our eye out for in this game in particular is Everton's defence. Now, obviously, we've not had a great start, but back in training this week for Everton was Jared Brantwaite. And we know how key he was last season for us keeping clean sheets. So hopefully the return of Jared Brantwaite is imminent for Everton, and he might return just in time for an excellent run of fixtures. I know a lot of people are looking at the likes of Mikalenko on a wildcard because he is 4.3 million now. So he could be a nice little cheap option to have as like a backup defender for some of you folks who are on their wildcards today. I feel like the fixture for me that I really want to have a look at quite closely for me is going to be Ipswich versus Villa. There's been a lot of talk about Duran as a striker, a lot of thoughts about his minutes, about his availability for the game, and his performances have been great. And I feel like if there's a player that deserves to start because he's been making such great impacts off the bench of late, then it's probably Duran. Like, he's got to be banging on that manager's door saying, hey, where's my start? When can I be starting games, please? Because that's going to be really good. But chat, let us know if there's any particular games that catch your eye in terms of an FPL perspective. Another little honourable mention surely has to be Chelsea and Brighton for us to look. Will Minte start? Will he get benched again? And which Chelsea attackers are going to be a little bit more nailed in the long run? People keeping an eye on Nkunku, who scored, was it a hat-trick this week, boys? Did Nkunku get a hattie midweek?
Yeah, he did, yeah. So I think we're going to see a few bandwagons, I reckon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing is, he's had a couple of price drops as well, and so if he's finally available and ready to start, then the reason we took him out of our teams at the start of the season, I don't know if anyone else started with Nkunku like I did, but the reason we took him out of our teams was because he wasn't starting. If he fixes that issue, then maybe he's going to make a case for us to come back in the side. And also keeping an eye as well on Nicholas Jackson, who's been doing really well this season. And also lurking slowly in the back of my mind is Jadon Sancho as well, who seeks to stake a more regular claim for that position. All right, shall we have a look at our teams going forward for this week in terms of our transfers as well?
So, is there any big points to discuss? That's what I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
As well.
So the first one is probably David Raya. Right, so what's going on there, Chaza? Because I know that you're on a wildcard this week. So tell us about the dilemma that David Raya has left you in.
Well, it's a strange one for those who are on a wildcard because I feel, well, once you've activated the chip, you can't go back. But for those that are indecisive, it's more, he would be the number one target on the wildcard, but that injury is seriously putting off people. And as a result of there not being as many sustainable 4.5 keepers or a lot of managers going for the structure of Raya set and forget, a lot of the 4.0 keepers don't play. So you're basically in danger of not getting any goalkeeper points for this weekend. So is that short-term pain going to be worth a long-term gain? Arsenal have 3 really good fixtures and they have 3 tough ones, and then they have a really good fixture run. So I find that quite hard. It's a big conundrum for those who are on a wild card. Along with that, João Pedro also being out too. It just seems there's just hurdles you've had to overcome. And that 5-3 transfers, that's like going to Ibiza, mate. Like, it's just, like, you thought it'd be realistic, but when you hit the obstacle, well, I don't think it is anymore. It's a shocking analogy. Sorry, that's 2 out of 10.
Oh, well, speaking of analogies, maybe Quentin can help us out.
Yeah, I think it's almost like going to the food buffet and you see there's a big selection, but you know, are you going to get food poisoning from, you know, the lasagna that no one's eating, which is Nkunku, that, you know, being told that's not too bad, but are you going to take the risk? Probably not. Or are you going to stick with, you know, Cole Palmer, who's probably the medium rare steak that's sitting in the warmer that everyone seems to be going to? So I feel like you're not going to substitute you know, what you know is there for something that might not be decent and might, you know, put you in the hospital for a bit of food poisoning later on in the night.
I can't take this game seriously.
No, it's great. It's great. There are a lot of a lot of options so far on the wild card, and maybe while Quentin is here, he might be able to help us out, because in the chat, Colm has been talking about whether or not Man United is a higher priority defence. We know that from Gameweek 8.
I actually Actually,
fixtures
I
that you
like
see?
the Man United defense. There's two options, so you're not getting the one option. You're getting actually two decent options. Where you got Dallo, who I feel like the last 2 weeks is pretty much done what we've hoped he would do in the FPL, is actually be attacking and get into great areas. So he's been really good. But then you've got Delit, who on set pieces, he's a threat, but he's also like lingering, like, you know, that ex-girlfriend that lingers around for probably a week too long in the box. And you know, he's getting the scraps, so he's getting the second chance balls that are going back into the box after the set piece finishes. So I feel like there's a little bit of upside with Delete as well, and they're not expensive. I think Dallo's 5.0 and Delite's 4.5.
I don't know. Let's find out. Let's have a look. Where is so Dallo is, I know, is 4.5. So defenders sort by percent selected by, I guess. Well, he's not going to be in the top page for that, is he? Well, Martinez is 4.5. The Ligt is 5.0.
Oh, is he?
So yeah. So, but yeah, I think
Still an
Mira
alright price point
agrees.
because
Sorry, I think Mira agrees because you know, he does like to linger around, kind of like someone else's ex. And Colm says the Ligt is what you get when you try to order Gabrielle from Temu.
Oh God, no way,
mate. This is actually really funny. My wife ordered a bin for our house, and she thought she was getting the Gabrielle bin, but it turns out it was a mini office Delit bin. That was really tiny.
Nice. Yeah, disappointing.
But
there are some.
It does its job, has its role.
Yeah, it's good. There are some other comments here. Colm, I think this one is probably for me. So will Dyche get the time to turn it around? I don't know. I'm obviously very grateful to Sean Dyche, as he's, you know, fought some really hard battles with us, but at the same time, the results, they speak for themselves in football, and we've had some decent opening fixtures. We haven't done very well at all. We've got 1 point so far from, you know, those first 5 games. I'm not sure if it's sustainable, and with new owners on the horizon, they might seek to make a change. And you know what, if that happens, I don't think anyone can have any complaints because the results just haven't been there. In terms of more discussion points, another thing that we're talking about is the transfers. But Chaza, go on. You've got something to say?
No, I'm just complimenting what you said. I could read your mind like a book. Well, not really. But these ever transfer trends, the top 5 ins and outs through the course of a week. And Rev, I'm just going to play a straight backhand to you. Are there any surprises in terms of players on this list, on these lists?
I think so. I think Diego Jota being out, even though it's a transfer that I made a couple of weeks ago, him being out is a little bit of a weird one because he did really well midweek. He was rested for 1 game where Darwin Núñez came in. I think the thing is, it feels like a bit of a luxury transfer to make. I feel like a lot of people are going straight away, either from Jota to his teammate, Luis Diaz, or from Jota to Mbeumo. And that, again, is fair enough. But I think a lot of people who've sold Diego Jota this week could have just kept him, to be honest, and just could have just been a bit more patient. I know he didn't play last week, but he looked great midweek in the Carabao Cup game, I think, against West Ham. And yeah, he did really well there. But whether or not he starts again, maybe that's a question people don't want the headache over. So, yeah.
Okay. Quentin?
I actually think he starts on the weekend.
Yeah.
I think so too.
So do I. Yeah. I think the biggest surprise is...
And I think...
Oh, sorry. Go on, Quentin.
I was just going to say, I think Jota's the type of player that yes, it's not great if he's benched, but he's the one player that can come on and score multiple goals off the bench as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even if he only gets 30 minutes. I think the biggest surprise, and I shouldn't be too surprised about it because, spoiler alert, I've done it myself, is that Mo Salah, right before he plays Wolves, is leaving a lot of teams. It's something I'm kind of nervous about, to be honest, because I know a wildcarded a couple of weeks ago just to get Salah in because he was killing us. And then he's had a couple of meh game weeks, and now we're taking him out again. It seems brave, but at the same time, I feel like Saka's fixtures look great. And, he seems to be involved in everything that Arsenal are doing. He's yet to go a game without an attack and return so far in FPL. So, yeah, fair play to the lads. Maybe he is the new Salah. Maybe he's staking his claim there as someone who's going to get us returns every single week. So, yeah, those are the transfer trends, I do believe.
If I'm going to be honest,
would you be moving to a Diaz if you're getting at Salah? Or would you be moving just away completely from Liverpool?
No, I wouldn't move completely away.
You'd
probably go, to accommodate Saka you're talking about?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so I think a lot of people were doing Salah to Saka.
Do you feel we've missed the boat on the Colombian?
Sure, because I think... Nah, I still think he, price-wise, probably a little bit...
0.5 now.
I guess hard to stomach. Yeah, it's a bit hard to stomach that he's 8.0 now, but I guess if you're looking at it, I feel like the points are probably going to keep rolling. I think last year he had a good run and then he got injured and then it took a little bit to get back from that injury, whereas we're seeing him fully fit this season and seeing pretty much what we saw last year, but obviously there's no injury, so he's consistently, returning.
Yeah. It's one of those things because I feel like it wasn't like a 50-50 toss-up at the start of the season between Diaz and Jota, but it was like maybe a 70-30. And I feel like, those people who were a little bit edgy, a little bit differential went, you know what, I'll go for Diaz. And they were rewarded massively, I think, as well. They've got some great team value banked there, and they've got way more FPL points to show for it. And, so, yeah, bit unfortunate, really. But if you had them, fair play. I think Mira's just asking a little question about... Mikalenko's minutes going forward and whether or not he's, a good option. I'm not sure he's a great option because I know that he didn't play against Leicester and I know that he only played like 20-something minutes against Villa as well. And those are the last two things. This is a question, that there are a lot of wildcard conundrums this week, and I'm seeing Mikalenko in a lot of the drafts, and even as an Everton fan, I'm not sure about him. Yeah, go on.
And look, I was going to say, Rev and Mira, I had some great lingo last week. I was convinced I was just listening to a podcast between those two, but. In today's episode of A Confession Booth, I've had Mikalenko since Gameweek 1. So how do I reduce the damage psychologically from making this mistake at the start of the season?
It's one of them where I feel like, you've made your bed. You just got to lie in it, man. I think no one was expecting Everton to be so poor defensively. But as soon as Jared Brantwaite was missing, I feel like that was the time to move away from him. Now that Jared Brantwaite might be back, you've got the opposite problem in saying, well, Mikalenko might not even be starting now. So, yeah, that is a little bit awkward because there are some players that I think might be worth investing in with like a good fixture run. I feel like, if you want to look at Everton players specifically, just purely from an eye test perspective. Everton have a I'm not sure if he's registered as a striker, actually, or a midfielder. He should be registered as a midfielder, but it's Ndiaye, who's 5.4 million.
Really, man, Ndiaye.
Yeah, live fast and die young. Yeah.
Oh, God, no,
yeah.
sorry, Rev, that's the worst one.
Yeah. His data's not been great, but in terms of eye test, he looks great. But maybe that's just because he's playing in an Everton team. That's really shocking.
No, I think Everton attack wise have looked pretty decent. It's like the defense, obviously, you're not going to worry too much there. But I think he's looked really good. But I think like Calvert-Lewin and McNeil at least creating between them about 3 to 4 chances a game, and like good chances, not sort of half chances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
What are your thoughts with the wild card and people moving on Trent to sort of free up a bit of money? I think that Trent's almost I hate using the word essential, but I feel like if you're going without Liverpool, I think Trent's almost giving you midfielder upside with the potential of clean sheets. So I feel like he's almost just stay in your side permanently until further notice.
Yeah, I mean, Chaz has just had to remove himself from my live fast and die young pun. But Trent Alexander-Arnold is essential. I'm using the dreaded E word. He's one of those players that is on set pieces. He's, in a defense that's, doing well clean sheet wise at the moment. Liverpool as well, they're keeping possession in attack a lot recently as well. They're doing well with their possession stats, and of course, when your opponent doesn't have the ball, they can't score. So, he really is essential, and people removing him on a wild card should think twice. Really, they really should. And so Chaza, you've activated your wild card, but was this the right time to do so? Do you regret hitting the button?
So I activated it on Wednesday night, mainly because I was in an awkward position of having 3 free transfers, but about 5 different problems. Mm-hmm. And even after using the free transfers without having a -4 hit, there would still be like one issue in the team where I felt, well, I should be going to this player this week, or this guy should be out this week. So it's tough. I probably regret making 2 moves a couple of weeks ago in trying to accommodate Mo Salah. It would have been far easier having all 5 free transfers, and that would make using the wild card redundant. But I've sort of felt that I've had to force to use it in a way to attack what lies ahead, but also fix a mess, especially with the current players, because I believe the players that I initially owned, they wouldn't be ticking anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Chaza joins me in being one of the few people who regret taking out Smith Rowe. Wait, there, do you still have Smith Rowe?
I never had him.
Oh, you never had him? Even though you had that amazing theme song?
What I did always have was think about me, think about, it's me, Smith Rowe. So, yeah, carry on.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough Sabrina Carpenter for today. Colm is saying Isaac, Jota and Salah is out for Haaland and Bermo and Savio this week. There's some really solid transfers. And Colm also says that Chaza, for 0.1 mil more instead of Mikalenko, you can get Anderson at Fulham. The propaganda continues.
He's proper off-field propaganda. Look, if I had to make an XI or 15 players, which it would involve celebrations off the field, Morgan Rogers would be captain. Anderson would be vice captain. Like, the way he conducts himself off the field,
it's inappropriate.
Is exceptional.
Yeah. Anyway, hello as well to FPL Sparta. Good to see you again, mate. Always a pleasure having you in the chat. And then the last thing that's on our list to talk about here is Arsenal and Brentford assets. With David Raya being injured, now does Flecken become the go-to on a wildcard for you, Chaza?
Well, you'll see my team shortly, but
yeah,
it could well be last minute because we know he's going to play in 4.5 to 4 mil. It feels that you've been stubborn in your ways because even before the wild card was played, the strategy was going with a 4.5 starter who has underperformed in what was, in my case, and probably many other managers, Dean Henderson. You're going down that same route, but the reason why you may be wildcarding is also to go for a premium keeper set and forget, but because that injury has really put people off. Flecken the way to go, possibly, based on Brentford's fixtures. I think Brentford assets and the clarity in terms of who to target is a bit more clear than the Arsenal assets at the moment, because that one figure of Raya missing completely changes the dynamics on whether to go double defence or double attack. Whereas with Brentford, you kind of know what you're going to expect. I think it would be Mbumo. Wouldn't target the defence, but maybe Shard or Carvalho as a differential.
I think the fact that Raya is injured, it's opened up an opportunity. You know, I was watching FPL Mates video. Shout out Dan, who's been on our podcast before as well. He said, you know, chaos is a ladder. You know, it's an opportunity to climb. And whilst other people are going for double Arsenal defence, Quentin, I'm not sure, how would you feel about going for double Arsenal attack instead? Is this an opportunity?
Yep, 100%. I think the Raya injury actually opens it up, like you said, for Flecken. And, you know, just to touch on Flecken first, he's received save points in every single fixture this season. He's averaged, I think, for the season, just a touch under 5 saves a game. I think the last 2 he's averaged 5.5 saves a game, which for me, for the worst position in fantasy is the goalkeeper. Would you rather have a really high floor and possibly a roof that caves in, or would you rather a roof that's really nice but the floor's only 2 points? So I feel like Flecken probably has, out of the keepers that are interesting, has the best floor for the save point capacity with the potential of clean sheets, but I feel like you're getting him in and you're happy if you're banking 3 points a game week for your keeper. I think is a decent shout. And yeah, in terms of Arsenal, I think you target the attack. Actually, don't mind looking at maybe a Trossard Saka double up.
Is Trossard suspended though?
Saka double up. Yeah, for 1 week. So it's probably not for this week, but I think Havertz is almost a non-event when he's playing the Odegaard position, because him and Declan Rice seem to be taking in turns and getting advanced. So maybe even Declan Rice might be worth a cheeky punt if you're looking at an enabler. Okay.
Declan Rice, you've heard it here first, folks.
It's not sexy. It's like a
little differential
it's like a pair of sweatpants. It's a pair of sweatpants. It's not sexy, but you know, it's comfortable. Yeah. But I think Havertz for me is probably lost the shine a little bit.
Yeah, fair. That makes me kind of nervous because I've already made the transfer. But I think in terms of, you know, the Arsenal attackers with Odegaard, as Quentin has rightly said, you know, it's one of those where we do wonder who's going to try and fill that role. And Colm has made a great point. Finally, not Fulham propaganda, but actual contribution towards excellent FPL discussion. He says Trossard can play. He served his suspension in the Carabao Cup midweek. I did not realise that. Carabao.
Boo. Yeah. Just in that Red Cup competition. Boo. Whatever.
Chaza, that beat has gone to your head. All right, well, I think that moves us into looking at our teams for this week, and I think, Chaza, you're ready to take us away, aren't you here, mate?
Mate, jeez, I don't know what occurred there, but I was waiting to be the third up. But anyways, look, I'm on a wild card. I'm a bit stuck what to do. I think I've got 0.1 in the bank. I'm just a bit stubborn to get rid of Salah at the moment. I think Robinson might have one more good game in him, but I'm thinking Aina down back, but look, if you guys can't read, I'll just say the whole lineup. So Raya with a lot more less muscular limbs. Trent hasn't gone anywhere. Robinson, because I liked it how he just housed his way to get into assists from nowhere. Gabriel's in pretty much as a Vardy replacement. It was one of the three transfers. Bumo's in. Semenyo, because got to have that cherry on top. Eze's somehow still there. Salah's the interesting one at the moment. Morgan Rogers for, well, I'm not going to say expected celebrations because he can celebrate because he got an assist last week. So happy days. Woohoo! Holding Wood and Erling Haaland. Rao, he had a skull issue, but now he's gaining full fitness from his own head. Fabianski, Mikolenko, who's just going down like coals prices. And Greaves, because I just reckon he's a very good-looking human being.
I mean, that's fair enough. But I feel like you're wildcarding. So, sorry to go critical straight away. I do like it, but I want to push. You are the boundary umpire of the year, so I do want to push your boundaries here.
Boundaries,
which is, Game Week 6, the most viable reason to wildcard, in my opinion, in Game Week 6 is the fact that Arsenal have 3 great fixtures, and you don't have a slice of that attack at the moment. And that does concern me a lot. And Chaza, especially as an Arsenal fan yourself, how do you feel about going into the next few game weeks without any Arsenal attack?
Oh, mate, it's like I need to upgrade the couches to my Kia. Because I know if Saka goes in, that helps you attack so much. You could go to a 7.5, 8 million. I'm not much of an enthusiast on bringing in Havertz because I want to see how he goes in case he takes Odegaard's role. It's just more Bukayo Saka because he keeps chiming in every week. But I will counteract and say Salah's got the better ceiling than him, but Saka's more consistent. Within a stretch of 5 game weeks, who's going to score more? Because I don't think there's going to be a lot to it between the two assets.
I mean,
Salah could still go bang. Quentin, look, I know you love going on mute, but I need your contribution here outside of food analogies.
Is that Saka v Salah?
Salah. Like, he scores more.
Yeah. I think Saka, yes, will match. I reckon he'll nearly outdo Salah, but then you're looking at the price points. You're getting Saka for what, 2.7 million cheaper.
So strikers.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I feel like Diaz, and Diaz and Trent, I think, can get returns as well. So you're getting not only a cheaper asset, but you're also bringing in possibly another Liverpool asset like a Diaz or a Trent Alexander-Arnold, where I feel like they're going to take some points as well. So I feel like you're going to come out further ahead, especially if you've got Haaland in your team as well.
I need to play aggressive.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's not great.
I do personally think that
it's tough. It's a tough decision to make.
Yeah. I think I want to come back to what I was saying, Chaza, to yourself and Mira on the podcast last week, which was, and I feel like I've been proven really, really right about this, is that I feel like the template is going to shift towards a 3-4-3 with Haaland plus 2 of the bigger supporting strikers. And those strikers are Jackson, the other striker is Solanke, the other striker is Watkins, and the other striker is Isak. And a lot of FPL, I believe, in the future will be about picking the correct 2 of those 4 to support Salah. Now, that does leave the rest of your team a little bit awkward. I do like the Chris Wood pick because I feel like his fixtures are all right, and that's fair enough. However, I think you've got to have someone like a Solanke or a Havertz or a Watkins to going forward on to have that price point as well, because all of those strikers have some good fixtures too. And a way in which you could do that is by moving Salah to Saka, who I think could outscore Salah over the next 5 game weeks, to be honest. And then moving someone like Raul up to a Solanke, for example. But your face tells me that you're skeptical.
It's very tough, but I feel sometimes my issue as a manager is that I can be a bit stubborn.
Mm-hmm. And that's fine. You've got to stick to your guns as well. You've got to go with your gut at the end of the day. It is your team.
Yeah. My question is, how often is Salah going to be captained over Haaland, considering how consistent Haaland has been over next month? I think that's another factor.
There's no other captain. There's no other captain over the next 7 game weeks. There's no other captain.
So is it worth having 3 more million on an Egyptian? Well, you're probably going to get the same from someone 3 million less. I don't know. I don't think so. So maybe it might be best to bring Saka in.
Yeah, definitely. I would 100% be going Saka if I was on a wild card. I think if I was on a wild card, he'd be
Saka.
Yeah.
I think everything runs through Saka in that attack.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I hate watching Arsenal games for the reason that I haven't owned Saka all year. And he just keeps popping up. And I wouldn't say he's playing his best football, and he's still just consistently getting returns.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, absolutely. Fair enough. All right. So we will leave Chaza. Oh, go on, Chaz.
No, I just want to say that's all I want to say. Thank you for your help as always, Rev, and your therapy. And Quentin, well, I can't really take you seriously considering how much you just love thinking about food and to have a chat as well. Just get to the next team.
Cool. Before we do that, we've got some people in the chat who need a little bit of help.
Tomorrow
night. We've got Jesper Hedegaard, who says, "What do you think of this team? Flecking, Gabriel, Saliba, Lewis, Rogers, Salah, Saka, and Bermo, Semenyo, Haaland, DCL. Not bad.
What's your bench look like? Yeah.
Not bad. Is that a wildcard team, though? Because, again, I think I want to make the point that you need someone in that Watkins /Havertz /Solanke slot as a price point. I really believe in that a lot, and I think that that's the way that FPL is going to move towards, and not having that is going to mean that you're going to need to downgrade later somewhere else in your team in order to upgrade to one of those players, especially when so Jesper says yes, it is a wild card, and I think my advice would be 100% being on one of those more mid to high price strikers to partner Haaland as well. But I could be wrong. But
no, I agree.
I have a question. Does Hedegaard relate to Odegaard?
Possibly. And you know what, Jesper, if you've got a good plan for it, which is DCL and Salah to become Son and Solanke in game week 8, that's fine. I had a similar plan. Sorry, easy for me to say. When I game week 4 wildcarded, and I got a couple of injuries, and then one of my players wasn't playing, and I had to make other transfers as well. And over the next couple of weeks, it threw off my trajectory into a different direction, and I've had to move elsewhere because of the other fires that I've got to put out in my team. Now, if you are wildcarding with some transfers in the bank still, then I do like that. That's fine. But if you are wildcarding and you'll have no transfers, I'm not too sure I'm very keen on that as a move. Cool. All right, let's move on. I've made a couple of transfers as well, and I'm going to seize the opportunity to say double Arsenal attack is in play. I know that Q, you weren't so keen on Havertz, but I think his link up with Salah has been fantastic so far this season, and so I'm kind of into it.
Yeah, I'd actually probably prefer the double attack over double defense. So I feel like you're in the right direction anyway, in my opinion.
Yeah. I also, and sorry to maybe put a bit of bait out here for Chaza, I prefer this team to Chaza's wildcard. Controversial.
Yeah. No. What do you mean controversial? I think that's fair enough, mate. Have you seen how much effort I put into mine? It's like I'm halfway there like Bon Jovi.
Fair play. Fair play.
No, that's solid, I think.
Well, mate, I'm just living on a prayer, you know?
Nketiah.
Yeah, I think this is the week.
I'm actually
where,
enjoying the Nketiah and Jose double up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that this week. I think next week, if Nketiah blanks again, then he's gone, and I'll find a way to bring Solanke in even for a -4. Yeah, I'd be beyond caring at that point. So
you've got the opportunity to move to maybe a Larson / Cunha up top for Wolves fixtures after game week 9, I think.
Okay. So and this team as well, it's got 1.3 million in the bank as well for a rainy day, and so I do have the ability to move up a little bit or move down from somewhere else. 2 goalkeepers here, rotating still. But yeah, anyway, that's my team. Quentin, any chance you're able to share your team going into this next game week with us?
Send it to Chaza on all platforms, so you should be able to.
There we go. Oh, now there's a spicy team. Watkins, I love it.
All out attack.
Yeah, 100%. So what were your transfers this week then?
I did Palmer to Saka, and then I did Leif Davis to Gabriel. So I was a bit disappointed because Leif Davis is this season's version of Miniz. I have a glowing affection for little Leif, but he had to make way because I only had the 2 transfers. I was going to make 3, which would have saved me from having to get him out. But yeah, I got him out.
Yeah. Can I ask one question? Why did you not want to get rid of Robinson from Fulham as opposed to Ipswich when Ipswich have a better fixture run?
Just because I think Robertson's attacking upside, even though I really do like Leif Davis and what the potential is. I think Robertson is doing it, whereas I'm sort of banking on Leif Davis to kind of give me a little bit more, whereas Robertson's done it so far this season. So I've kept him in, and their fixtures aren't too bad. But yeah, the plan is to move from Robertson possibly to someone else, maybe a United defensive asset, I think in week 8 or 9.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And I like the way that you've got, your Aston Villa players through the middle. You've got your, Arsenal little line, your Liverpool little line. It's, it's beautiful. But I think whilst I do like the team, I do feel like I'm in a similar position, by the way, mate, which is I feel like mine and your team is demonstrating the wider points that I'm trying to make about where I feel like the template is going. And I feel like we should be thinking about 3-4-3 in the future, because I've got Eze, Minte, and Rodgers all on my team. You've got Semenyo, Rodgers, and McNeil. They're all players that are trying to accommodate. Whereas Mez, who's on a wild card, is on Solanke, Haaland, and Havertz. And I feel like that's just night and day.
Yeah.
Not that me and you don't have, Haaland, but Solanke and Havertz versus, my Minte and Eze at the moment. Oh, sorry. It just feels like we're going to be reaching for the next few weeks until we can hop on to this. I might be wrong.
I think I've got 1 million in the bank, and my plan is to move Martinez to Flecken, which will give me 1.5. And then, depending on my other moves, I'm looking at moving Pedro on for either a Xerxes, a Solanke, possibly a Larson from Wolves. But I'm using that third striker spot as sort of maybe a little bit of a differential pick. but we'll see.
Yeah, of course, and
and obviously Jota's probably going to be moved on soon, I'd say, as well.
Yeah,
I feel so the plan is maybe move Jota on.
Yeah, he's a wait and see this week, maybe, but I'd understand if you moved him out. I think when it comes to these attackers, there are some really good options, and so if we can free up the funds to bring him in, then it seems like it's going to be worth it. All right, Chaza.
Yeah, I think Jota's sort of maybe down to a Garnacho, so I'm not sure yet, but yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, that's what I was going to say. I feel like Xerxes, especially from Gameweek 8, is going to be a really good option. So yeah, good plans there, Q. That feels absolutely spot on.
It just depends on whether Haaland from Wish, aka Rasmus, is going to be fit.
Yeah. Hoyland, Haaland, ketchup, Hoyland, Haaland. No, anyone old enough to get that Simpsons reference? No, never mind. I'm so old. Anyway, Chaza, have you got a little treat for us, my friends?
I do. And what about showing your team, Rev?
I've already done it.
Oh yeah, you did too. Sorry.
You're wasted, mate.
I forgot. Honestly, my days are numbered. But yes, my treat is Captain's Corner for yet another week. So if you
take it away, dude.
Yeah, can I change angle? Can I do this? Have a look at you trying to figure everything out. Can I can I actually change it to my camera?
There you go. I've got you. No, I had it. There you go.
Yes, now you got it. Cool. You're hearing it first from the Boundary Umpire of the Year. And now I could potentially talk about the Asset of the Year thus far. And that is Erling Haaland, who's away at Newcastle, already scored 10 goals in his opening 5 games. Now, hear about Newcastle's defensive stats. They've allowed 61 shots in the box, which is the third most of any side in the league. In addition to Norwegian has had the most shots in the box and shots on target than any other player in the comp. And hey, never back the early kickoff is I'm backing up. I think it's Mahatma Gandhi who did say that, but who knows? Salah will go from one Mahatma to an Egyptian this time around. Salah's away at Wolves. Now, Wolves have already been hit for 6 at home this season by Chelsea and Cole Palmer. Yeah, however, he did get his first blank of a campaign at home to Forest, but he bounced back with an assist at home to the Cherries. He's only 1 assist in his first 2, but in his opening 3 game weeks, he's managed to accumulate 41 points, which is a league high alongside Haaland. In addition, Mo Salah is ranked 2nd for shots in the box, shots on target, which really contributes to a strong goal threat to kickstart the campaign. Bukayo Saka at home to Leicester City. His 8 total chances created is a team high for the Gunners, along with his 11 shots and 10 shots in the box. To complement that, he is only one of 2 players in the game who has returned in every game week this season. And a curveball option. Now, if you really want to just hit your shots, and you don't really matter what the outcome is, Antoine Semenyo at home to Southampton, who plays on Monday night, his 24 shots is ranked 2nd amongst all fantasy players, and he's proven a very popular target on people's Wildcard. Now, I did say this on the phone call once when I was trying to rent a customer while I was at work, and I said in quote, "That's all I want to say." And in this segment, that's all I really want to say. So back to you guys in the studio. Thank you very much. And Quentin, I hope you've got 2 more analogies up your sleeve.
Chaza, could you just get a little bit closer to the camera when you do it? Can you just get like even closer?
I feel disappointed, mate. I haven't fulfilled your food analogy fantasies tonight on the podcast. I think I've had maybe 1 or 2, but we'll see. I might have a couple to end the pod.
That's all right. All good. But I do want to say something which is quite fulfilling about tomorrow. I know I should go closer to the camera. I'm seeing Katy Perry tomorrow.
Oh, very nice. Are you going to hear her roar?
Yeah.
Who do you support in the AFL again, Chaza?
Sainers, yeah, look. But I'm going to the grand final, okay? How could I say no to that?
Well, do you know Saints have got red just like the Swans, mate? So you may as well jump on board and get on the bandwagon.
Potentially, yeah.
Wow, are we seeing someone switch allegiance to a team? Anyway, I think it's been a great pod, guys. I think, really enjoyed speaking to you. Some really interesting points, particularly about Man United's assets for the future and structure for our wildcard, our dilemmas about David Raya and Arsenal defence or double attack. What should we do? Let us know in the comments what you're doing. We've had also Chaza's Captain's Corner as well. Let us know who you are captaining as well. But until then, folks, thank you so much for tuning in on today's podcast. Please do make sure that you are subscribed and make sure you turn on your notifications so that you don't miss another episode of our shenanigans. We're going to be right back again at it next week, no doubt in tears for when all of our best laid plans go wrong and we need a little second try at it. But until then, thank you, Quentin, and thank you, Chaza, for being with us today on the podcast. We've been the FPL, the podcast. I've just inherited your accent as well. And so, yeah, thank you very much, boys. And thank you to everyone else who's joined us in the comments as well. It really has been a pleasure. And we'll see you next time. Bye.